People are saying that this is an Oscar bait, but why should we be mad about that? If a film is going to be made good enough for Oscar nominations and that's what they're pushing for, we should be celebrating the fact that we're getting a decent film. And yet somehow people find a way to complain, especially when it comes down to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's new performance in The Smashing Machine. Let's talk about it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson switches gears and takes on the role of Mark Kerr, one of the pioneers of UFC. In The Smashing Machine, produced by A24, which is a biographical film on Mark Kerr's life, but not his whole life. It spans between 3 years of 1997 and the year 2000. Starring next to him is Emily Blunt, who is playing Dawn, Mark's girl, who is interesting, and an actual MMA fighter named Ryan Bader, who plays Mark Coleman, who is the best friend of Mark Kerr. I actually rocked with the idea of The Smashing Machines only spanning about 3 years as opposed to his whole life, and I think that's the joy of making biographical films. You can take any segment of the subject's life and really focus on that. And for someone who doesn't know who Mark Kerr is and his trials and tribulations, I feel like being able to narrow down 3 important years of his life for this film worked very well. It was an interesting choice casting Johnson in this because Mark Kerr is currently 56 years old, Johnson is currently 53 years old, and within the film, the events took place when Mark Kerr was in his late 20s, early 30s, so at times it was distracting because I know how old Johnson is, but for the majority of this film, it worked. And that's because the prosthetics were done by the legendary Kazuhiro, who has an impressive resume under his belt. I do have to give my kudos to Johnson for providing us with a different lens on his range. I'm already a fan of this guy and have seen pretty much all the films that he's been a part of, but The Smashing Machine is different because of the raw emotions and performance attached to this, and Johnson really laid it out there. And I'm not saying that his acting was the greatest in the film, because any time that him and Emily Blunt had a scene together and they were arguing, yes, his moments were powerful, but she really stole those moments. She was absolutely captivating and carried this poise that allowed Johnson to feed off of and perform well, which is probably why they were casted together in this. They already worked together in Disney's The Jungle Cruise, and even though it was a lighter film than The Smashing Machine, their chemistry shined very bright in both of those films. I loved how the film was more about humility and redemption for Kerr, who never lost a fight, who was doping up, who had this baddie of a girlfriend who was quite emotionally manipulative, but he had to come back to earth after facing his first loss, and for me, that's when the film truly kicked in. I did wish to see what he went through during his time in rehab, and there was a moment in the film where they talked about a fight in Dubai, and they didn't show that, which kind of sucked for me. But that being said, more so about Dubai, it also worked because this isn't strictly a fighting sports film. And maybe they talked about those and showed those in the documentary that came out in 2002. I'm not too sure because I haven't seen them, but maybe, I'm just speculating here. I actually do hope that this gets some nominations. I can for sure see Best Makeup as well as Best Supporting Actress, but I wouldn't be surprised if Best Actor is also thrown into the mix. Overall, I have to say that I really did enjoy The Smashing Machine. I was expecting heavy emotional moments, and even though I wasn't out here tearing up or bawling my eyes out, I still was very impressed by what was delivered, and I highly recommend this be watched. But I'm curious, have you seen it? And if you have, what did you think of it? Let's get the conversations rolling, and yeah, that's about it.